Good Wednesday morning, everybody. It is a Wednesday, March 8th. Chris Allen here on the Sam channel, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, all sponsored by Ace Hardware Marketplace. March 8th. Well, you would think by now that we would fully be into spring, but we are not based on temperatures. We began to feel the cooler air, although it was really nice yesterday. But toward evening, I did fire up the fire pit and sat out on the back porch. There was a bit of a breeze. You could tell it was getting cooler. And as I've said in previous days, we are going to get cooler, not necessarily cold. There will be a couple of frosty nights, I think, ahead for us, but this is just a last little gasp of winter, if you will, just kind of like, hey, it's still officially winter, but the patterns have been trending warm, so I'm just going to give you a cool down. And this cool down will continue for a few days, but it's not going to last that long. Here's a look at the satellite this morning. There is a straw back to the west of us. You see it there, the broken line. We call it a trough. And it extends all the way down toward the Gulf. A little bit of moisture with this, maybe a sprinkle or two today, but for the most part, it's really nothing. You can see the cloud cover there. It is cloudy, and much of the day is going to be cloudy here across much of southern Kentucky, with that off chance that somebody might get a sprinkle or two. But overall, the bigger story is going to be how much cooler it's going to be today than even yesterday. Now, yesterday we hit a high of 63. Look at today's projected high, 53, 10 degrees colder than yesterday. Now, that 63 that we hit yesterday is 6 degrees above the average of 57. 57 is where we should be for this time of the year, the beginning of March, once you average up hundreds of years of record keeping. So we're going to be a little bit off today, and the next few days are actually going to trend cooler than average, but not colder than average. I refuse to say that it's going to get really, really cold when looking at these kind of numbers, because they're so close to where we ought to be anyway. Now, there will be, as I mentioned from the offset, there will be a couple of nights, as you can see, when we do hit like, next Monday night, 31 with a high of 40. Well, let's see, a high of 50, then 49 to 28 on Tuesday. 28 is as cold as it'll get over the next 10 days as far as low temperature. And you see, after that, once we get through this week and this weekend, next week, by the middle of next week, we start to warm back up again into the 60s. So whatever chilly air that we're going to feel over the next several days is temporary. Days are getting longer, the sun angle getting higher, nights are getting shorter. We transition into spring late next week, or actually the week after. Officially, we get into spring, and there's no way that these temperatures that you're seeing over the next several days are going to stay that way. So whatever we have coming is coming for the next few days, but it's not going to last all that long. And I know there's already somebody out there talking about snow. Whatever. I mean, somewhere, but even if it did snow, even if there was a little bit of snow, just enough to, oh, look, there's a snowflake. Oh, there's a snowflake. It would melt when it hits the ground. So already I've seen different weather people posting pictures of, hey, look, this could happen. They're after clicks and likes and shares. I don't care. I don't care. You know how I feel about that. I don't care. I'm not here to hype. I'm here to help tell the truth. Okay, here's a look at temperatures this morning from the Kentucky Mesonet Network. And the Commonwealth divided into three pieces, as you see here, the north and east in the 30s this morning. Then you've got somewhat of the middle and southern Kentucky in the 40s. So it's not cold, it's cool, a little chilly to some of you who are cold natured. Yeah. But then look back into western Kentucky. It's mid to upper 40s, close to 50. So we have as you can see, all neatly divided into three pieces here this morning. As you head off to work, everything is just kind of cloudy. Again, today somebody's going to see a sprinkle or two, maybe on your windshield, but not much else happening as far as a system per se. A big issue with this, that, or the other is just not there. Okay, let's take a look at the flow here and the way the patterns are set up and the computer models and what they're going to show. And again, there's just not anything that's saying big time winter is on the way. We still have this dividing line here. The zonal flow continues out of the Pacific West, and occasionally we tap into a little bit of Gulf moisture and it goes north. And there comes some of that right over the area today, or actually just west of us today, but it will stay, except for a few sprinkles, generally out of our area. Here we go into Thursday. This is actually late tonight, early tomorrow morning. We see some of that moisture trying to work its way in here, and it will, but it's just general rainfall. There's nothing that would indicate snow or, it's still locked away. Winter is still very much locked away. You can see it taking a dive here, a big trough building over the west and then going over that dividing line, that 540 line, if you will, of winter to the north, warmer, almost spring-like weather to the south. Even though this trough is going to send us some cooler weather, it's still, by any standards, not cold. All of that is still locked away to the north of us. So we have this low pressure system. Mentioned this yesterday that it's not very deep. It's just at 1,004 millibars, which means it's not near as strong as that 981 millibar record breaker low pressure system that came through on Friday and did all the wind damage. This is not that. It may get a little breezy and with some showers that will come in. This is very late Thursday night into Friday morning. Yeah, it just a little bit of rain, maybe a tenth of an inch of rain. Now there, it does gain a little strength. Notice that 999 millibars as we get into this would be late Friday night into Saturday morning. But this is, remember, what this is doing is ushering in that colder air, cooler air, colder air, as the trough begins to dig in the central part of, look how far south into Texas that goes. Yeah, that's pretty significant. This, and look at all the wind. Look at all those isobars tightly packed. So this is going to usher in some Arctic air as this system moves through Thursday night into Friday morning, but it's pretty quick as it moves on in and moves through. This is going to move pretty quickly on into the northeast and become a bigger storm for the New England states and the mid-Atlantic, not for us. Now we're going to get a glancing blow out of this. As you see now, it deepens to 984. That's a fairly strong low pressure system. What we will get out of it are these winds that by the time we get into Saturday, it's going to be breezy. It's going to be um, a little, the wind will have a bite to it. Wind chill. Yes, I would say so. Probably so. But all this snow that you see, not real impressed by that. Now, As we go into Saturday and Sunday, now this is showing us with a little bit of snow. This is around, let's see, that would be about what, 1 o'clock Monday? Well, let's change that. I keep looking at the chart because we have daylight saving time starting Sunday. So that would be like noon. This is noon on Sunday. So we've got two lows now, one at 980, one at 981, the same strength that the low pressure was as it moved through the Ohio Valley. Yes, there will be wind, some pretty tight breezes here, but snow, that is questionable. If we see some, like I said earlier, we may see a few flakes, but I don't, if whatever happens, it's not going to be impactful. It's not going to stay on the ground. It's going to melt pretty quickly. The ground will not have enough time, or even surfaces will not have enough time to provide us with a big snow. So, and this is only one model's take, okay? But it's the one I'm using to illustrate the possibilities that are there. But this thing just moves on out and it's done, okay? So you can see that it. Let me back it up here. It gains strength 1004, 1005, then goes 1001, brings us a pretty good clip of rain as we get into Thursday night and Friday morning. And then the cold air, notice the cold air is here. This big dip right there. That's the dip in the jet stream that is going to cause all of that colder air to start just going even far south of us into places like Louisiana and Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. It's going to get colder, but we're still only looking at around 50, as you saw in the 10-day blender. So this particular model may be an outlier. In other words, out of all the models, I don't know why I chose this one, but I do know why, because it kind of illustrates the far um, what am I trying to say? The bigger issue, or the bigger probability of some of this stuff happening instead of the lower threshold. So I should have found probably a better balance between the models, but this also illustrates that we've got a difference between the models. Some of the other models are saying, that's not going to be that big of a deal. Even if it does snow in some parts of Kentucky, again, ground temperatures are too warm, surface temperatures are too warm, and it's not going to get, I don't think, as cold as what that model is showing. But either way, you get the glass half full and the glass half empty view, the optimist versus the pessimist view of what's going on or what will happen. Here's a look at the surface map, and it's also going to kind of balance things out here. So here's today as we get that straw, and there it is, that trough coming out of that low out of the Gulf, but it's not the main low, but it's the one that's going to kind of try to work in a little bit of light rain, maybe a sprinkle today for some, especially west of I-65. Not that big of a deal. We'll be waiting on the bigger, deeper low pressure system, or the one that's going to continue to deepen over the next few days. Here we go into tomorrow about mid morning. There's a straw again, just kind of laying across the area. Low pressure impulses riding along the front, digging in. These are Pacific lows, which are trending warmer, like they have been all winter, and then picking up on some Gulf moisture and sending it northward. So here we go into Thursday night, Friday morning. This thing moves on out, deepens, but not like what we had last Friday. So we'll have a low come through, but not like the one last Friday, okay? The bigger low that we're waiting on is back to the west. Here we go into Saturday. We get a nice day after that. Then we start to see another straw coming in, another disturbance with a chance of showers as we get into Sunday. then into Monday, it leaves, and then we're done with that series of systems. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to get something. We're going to get some rain out of this, and it is going to trend cooler, but not necessarily colder. So we've got to usually it trends, it ends up being somewhere in between the two, from the extreme, which I just showed you with that model, to more balanced, what I just showed you with those surface maps. So it's going to be somewhere in between that for us. I'm not going to get on the snow train just yet because there's still too many variables with all the models out there. And I just don't, the confidence is not very high with that. Oops. I don't know why I hit that. But anyway, there you go. Okay. Um, Back on the radio this morning, as usual, Sam 100.7, starting at 6 a.m. this morning until 10. Hope you tune in and listen. In the meantime, God bless you. Thank you for watching as always, and I'll see you on the radio.